Hello there, and welcome to another video. Today I am reading a book. This is Habitat for Humanity, How to Build a House. I've been very curious about how they build houses and help the people in need. And so I got this book from the library, and I'm going to look through this. I read the reviews that they don't cover too many things and too many details. So there was one reviewer who recommended other books. So I got this book, Working Alone. It's an old book. Look at this. It's been well used, but it has those details maybe that they were talking about. And the other one is this book, also quite very detailed about construction and things like that. And obviously I will not need a lot of that. These numbers and framing and some tables, but it's interesting to understand better how the structures are built. And this book also includes some code requirements, so very much detailed. So I am not going into these until I look through this. I have absolutely zero knowledge about this, and I think the most I can do around the house is to hang a curtain, maybe. I did once put together a walk-in closet like shelf system. So it wasn't great, but it worked. And I did a couple of other things around the house, but nothing like this. So the contents here are split up into getting started, building basics, from flat, level, and square, going up, shelter, closing in, building an outdoor room, comfort inside, the walls within, making a house beautiful and useful, and final details. So let's see, introduction. Getting started. Obtain a site. The first step is finding a place to put a house. No kidding. This is not a step to be taken lightly. Many factors to consider, and not the least of which are the exact location of property lines, the setback, and other zoning requirements. The distance a house must be set back from property lines. and whether there are any easements or restrictions on what or where you can build. I've heard the word easements, but I don't know what that is. Okay. Soil characteristics are important when choosing a building site. We once built a house in Montana where 6 inches of topsoil hid the large boulders, making it impossible to dig trenches by hand. Building in expansive clay soil requires extra precautions. Learn about this lot's zoning, whether it's situated in a floodplain or on a wetland, and whether any hazardous materials are or have ever been present. Removing asbestos debris or an underground oil tank can be very expensive. Also check to see whether utilities are in place: water meter, sewer or septic system, electricity, gas, and telephone and cable lines. When we first moved to Oregon, I inquired about a 2-acre site near where we now live. The city water lines stopped quarter a mile away from the property, and to drill a deep well or extend water lines to the new site would have cost a small fortune. We looked elsewhere. And that's just quarter a mile, I guess. Be sure to check with the local building department as well as the health, zoning, wetlands, and any other local departments that must issue approval for a construction project about any potential lot. This investigative work can save you a lot of time and money. Okay. Particularly in cities, finding a suitable lot can be a daunting task. The price is the biggest impediment. Let's see. I know of a couple of marginally suitable building lots in the Bel Air section of Los Angeles that recently sold for $258,000 each. Both of those lots are pitched so steeply that each one will require at least $150,000 just to prepare for construction. That's $400,000 before the owners can even start building. Okay. Focus on the outskirts of the town or city where you'd like to build. Alright. That was step 1. Now they have this section here, hiring a contractor. Whether it's surveyor, excavator, foundation contractor, plumber, electrician. So always get bids from at least 3 contractors. Ask questions about their work, ask to see the other work that they have done, and ask for names of former clients. Then follow up by talking with some of their previous clients. Make sure the contractor you choose is fully insured and bonded. And finally, before hiring, call State Contractors Board to see whether any complaints have ever been filed. Look in the blue pages of the phone book with it to find the appropriate department within your state's Consumer Protection Division. I don't know that anybody has a phone book When you interview each contractor, pay attention to his or her attitude. You want someone who listens to you. What you don't need is someone who acts as though he or she knows what you need better than you do. Get a written cost quote that includes a detailed description of the work to be done and a completion date. Make sure all the quotes you receive are for identical work. Okay. Most contractors unburn business bids because they do competent work, but it's the real world. I recently received a call from a distraught couple who had given a roofing contractor $2,000 deposit to have their house reshingled. When the couple called to find out why the contractor hadn't shown up to do the work, the phone number provided by the contractor turned out to be disconnected. It's amazing how many people lie to other people just to gain money. That's so sad. Anyway, so that's how you hire a contractor. Another tip, interesting, protect trees and vegetation. If you want trees, vegetation to be preserved during the construction process, rope them off before the work begins. Heavy equipment can damage roots close to the surface. It also can compact the soil, limiting water absorption. That's a good tip. Alright, so then discounting this, prepare the site. Okay, so he's giving here an example. In Oregon, you're likely to have a huge tangle of blackberry vines to subdue. In the southeast, your land might be covered with kudzu. I once built a house on what looked like an old junkyard. The lot was strewn with a dozen dismantled cars and several old motorcycles, which had to be removed before we could start the construction process. And then there's been a possibility that you might encounter hard rock, which may require blasting. So, hire a contractor to level the land, establish proper drainage, put in a septic tank or sewer connection, prep the driveway or dig trenches for the foundation footing. If you bring in heavy equipment, do your best to communicate to the operator that you want to save the trees, and we already talked about this in this tip. Run power to the site. Most builders contact the power company to arrange for a temporary power pole to be set up on the site. There's a folder here. I think I've seen those. This is, let's see, folder number, page 10. I think this is it. Right here, there's a man, and the power pole is an interim system mounted on a post. This temporary setup consists of a meter to measure power consumption, a service panel to turn electricity on and off, an outdoor receptacle where extension cords can be plugged in, and a conduit that runs back to the main power lines. It's interesting. Okay. So that's okay. Another option is to ask a neighbor to allow you to use and pay for electricity while you are building. Remember, you're going to live in this neighborhood. No time like present to be friendly. And if you're building in a remote area, you'll probably need a generator to get electricity to the site. I've built many houses using a portable gas-powered generator. Make sure your generator is capable of supplying power to several tools at once. That's true. You don't want to switch. Okay. So, provide a fence for safety and security. Here he says that it can deter, prevent theft of tools, building materials, making the site also safer. He also recommends liability insurance. And then also he says keep the work sites free of debris, boards with nails protruding just for safety. Yeah. So then the step 3 is designing the house. I like this. Live simply that others may simply live. Okay. To increase the cost of the house, all you need to do is to complicate its design. Okay. Small, low, and light, makes an affordable house. Money-saving design ideas. Featuring some houses here. Photo on the facing page. I guess maybe. Okay, I think this is it. All right. This house, I'll show you here. You see, this house is built in Charlotte, North Carolina, and is designed to make economical use of basic building materials. And a simple gable roof extends over a small porch where the main entry is located, right here. On a small lot where setbacks seriously limit the footprint of the house, you may need to consider a small 2-story design. So Habitat for Humanity has a good selection of basic house plans. There are resources. Page 279. Let's look. Alright, I thought there would be. I guess they do have websites like resources. So maybe look at the designs afterwards. Okay. Alright, so let's see. Admittedly, the bedrooms are not discotheque size. I don't know what that word means. But you can do, like a discotheque. You can do your dancing in the living and dining room. Okay. Alright. He's saying that when my children were young, I enclosed our front porch and made 2 5-foot by 9-foot rooms. Cozy, sun-filled spaces. One was used for study, one for music. And to his surprise, he's saying these 2 tiny rooms became the most popular parts of the house. Okay. Another way to conserve space is create a floor plan, he's saying, that reduces or eliminates hallways. As you look over a house, okay, remember that doorways need to be at least 32-inch wide, 36-inch for easy, I think, wheelchair access. That's what he's saying. We'll come back to this. For wheelchair accessibility, keep in mind that the direction in which a door swings can affect how well a room works and where you can place the furniture. Other cost-saving strategies, it has to do with materials and energy use. Keep the kitchen and the bath on the same side of the house to minimize rough plumbing expenses. In cold region of the country, run plumbing lines in interior walls and enclose the porch as a mudroom to minimize heat loss. Yeah. Habitat for Humanity's policy is to build for people, not cars. But some municipalities require garages. I didn't know that. Sometimes, however, you can get variance to build off-street parking rather than a garage. And then design for the future. Consider building a wheelchair ramp. An accessible ramp has a 1 in 12 rise, 1 foot of rise for every 12 feet of length. 1 foot of rise for every 12 feet of length. Okay. Try to think about and allow for expansion in the future. Additional family. Small doesn't mean boring. I like that. Well, you all know I live in a tiny house right now, and it's been a month and a half almost since I've lived here, and I have to admit that besides the fridge, and you could easily install a fridge here, I do not miss space. Okay, no, I take that back. I do need probably another maybe 2 feet because I can't put my yoga mat easily when my ladder is down to the loft and exercise. So that has been the biggest challenge, plus the fridge. So, and I know that everybody's needs are different, so. But for me, the tiny house life is not too bad. Alright. I'm not going to read all of that. Yeah, he's just talking about this building a smaller house. Ask yourself key questions. Is there a place to set groceries when I enter? Where will we hang up our coats or take off our boots when we come inside in the winter? Is it easy to get food to the table and to clear the dishes? So basically kind of your flow. Alright, but I want to go back saying another tip, practice building with a scale model. By assembling a scale model of your house, you can troubleshoot the building process, solving problems before you begin full-scale construction. You can buy balsa wood in different dimensions and other model making supplies from a well-stocked hobby shop or craft supply. That's an interesting idea. And here's a note about siting a house. He's saying that often, especially in the city, houses are just plopped down square on the lot with a 15-foot setback from the street and a 5-foot side yard to meet building code requirements. Such a building is a stranger to its land. Sometimes we can do better than that. Ideally, a house should be off the land, but not merely on the land. Pay attention to the natural lay of the land, the path the sun takes overhead, the direction in which the prevailing wind blows, the good views, bad views that should be hidden. So much involved in that. The more I read about it, the more it's fascinating to me, the more I want to really learn about this. I think it's art on its own. So I hope you enjoyed this time with me as we look through this book. I'm going to keep going here, but I hope you liked this. And another way to get involved in your community is to volunteer for your Habitat for Humanity. It's really easy to sign up, even for one shift, even if you have zero abilities like me, but just to learn something to help out. And I'm considering doing that as well. So, but in the meantime, hope you're relaxing or relaxed and maybe learn something from this. Take care of yourself and goodbye.